Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic and phenomenal day. Wonderful weekend to you as well. If you had one, even if you didn't, let's make it a great day here. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk obviously about Bitcoin. We're going to jump into some macro stuff. We're going to look at this ascending trend line that seems to be holding fairly well, along with this resistance range too. This is a 4-hour candlestick closure that we saw pretty significant resistance back here late August, and here once again we see the initial rejection. So it doesn't mean the sky is going to fall and the price is going to drop to zero. It just implies we have some resistance above us, which is expected. The 63 to 64.5 range was kind of the anticipated resistance range for us. So we'll talk about that. Let's jump into the back end data here and get this going. Oh, before we get started, I want to say quick heads up. We got a really solid deposit bonus for Bitunix. Use my link to register. If you've already used it, you're eligible automatically. $200 futures for a $1,000 deposit. It's really not that bad. It's a pretty solid little heads up there. A quick little heads up too as well. We can see also a nice little profit there over the weekend from Bitcoin. We had a long open going through the weekend. Then we had an Aptos short. We did have to close our SUI short manually just before it hit its stop because obviously it was going to continue to run. That coin is a beast, and I would not recommend shorting it. Lesson learned. All right, so let's take a look here at the back end data, kind of see what's going on. And what we want to look at here, first of all, is the short-term, I wouldn't say trend, but the overall sentiment here is that majority of all the recent shorts over the weekend have gotten destroyed. So anybody shorting upwards of 65,000, it's basically 64.5 as a round number there, we can see just got hammered. So again, shorting right now might be a better consideration versus 24 to 48 hours ago. Of course, hindsight's 2020, it's easy to say that. But at this point here, what we can recognize though, is that there is still some liquidation left, about 66,700. So 67 to 70,000 is a round number. Really big range, of course, but we got a decent amount of liquidation there. More specifically about the 66.6 mark as their easy round number to remember, or just, simple numbers, 3 sixes, essentially right there at that resistance range, okay? Now again, I think we're a little ways away from that, but if you recall correctly, or if I recall correctly, and maybe you remember me talking about this, we have a point of control, a macro point of control, like secondary to 63,000 at 67,000. So we're probably going to range between 63 to 67 would be my guess, but we'll see here soon, obviously, what that looks like. And looking at liquidation again, this is a little sparse because we have mostly weekend here. This is a 5-day look back, but we can recognize that we have more longs in the market than shorts. Longs are about 2.5 billion up on shorts right now. So we have more people taking longs than shorts in the market. And what does that mean? Well, that generally implies that there is strength in the market. We're honoring an ascending trend line, but it also implies that longs could get hit here soon. You got to recognize though, we're honoring our ascending trend line. I'll describe that here in a minute. You'll see it on the charts. And until we dishonor that, rather, if that's the right word for it, we're going to see the price likely continue higher. It doesn't make a ton of sense to short right now just because we're overextended. We can see this is kind of par for the course here. The last 7 days, we can see our obviously open interest about 62,000 still. We got some interest here recently at about 63.2, so that could imply some support in the low 63K range. All right, so let's take a look here at the weekly, work our way down, and at the general consensus here is that last week was not phenomenal, right? I mean, obviously we can see here. Let's make it a little easier to see. You can recognize we had. Even though it was a hammer up kind of doji candle, we can see pretty significant selling pressure. So closing above 65,300 would be awesome this week to give us a bullish engulfing candle. And that would tell us that this week's worth of trading is essentially better than last week, and that there's more likelihood for the price to continue higher. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of where we're at there. We've also got this descending trend line that is kind of averaging itself out close to that $67,000, $68,000 range. So if we do see the price continue higher, it would make sense for it to kind of reject off that level. Okay, so let's take a look here at the SMAs. We can recognize we're over the 20-day SMA still. Last week, even though it was a terrible week still, we closed above it at the 62.5 range, roughly 63,000, which is very, very beneficial. We're still respecting our ascending trend here based on the 50-day SMA as well, so it's all positive. We do take a look at the weekly stochastic and RSI. We can see we're still maintaining above 50. Stochastic swinging up here still. Well, it's kind of topping out. Still a little early to tell. Money flow index is still high. That's a good sign. The MFI being over the RSI tells me we're in a pretty good situation in the overall sense here, plus being above all moving averages and the MACD trying to converge here. There's a lot of reasons why a further upside makes way more sense than the price going down. Again, this is a macro perspective. Does it mean that the price is going to stay right here and just go straight up from here? No. It absolutely implies we could see a retest of 60,000 or something along those lines and still respect these trends, okay? So you got to understand that that's kind of the gist of it here, but generally speaking, we're looking for a closure at 62,000.5, 62.5 as a round number, a low number here. We want to close above that or higher. Preferably we want to close, where we're at or higher too, but in general, we got that support range in the 62K range, the low 62s. So having said all that, we are now above every single moving average here on the daily. Minus the 200 is tentatively rejecting the price action. So a closure at 64K or higher would imply that we're probably more likely to go up than down. If we take a look, of course, here at MACD, it's trying to converge. Stochastic is swinging upwards. While money flow index is below the RSI, our RSI is still not overextended, we're over 50. So this is like 9 out of 10 reasons why we're in pretty good shape, and we should expect the price to maybe continue further higher, okay? Now, we take a look at that, and then we kind of go to our 4-hour time frame. We can see this ascending trend. Now, I'll clean it up on the hourly. It's a little easier to see, but we are definitely establishing higher highs and higher lows consistently. That's a good sign. Take a look here, of course, as well. MACD is converging. We can also see RSI, traditional RSI, is kind of in that sweet spot between 50 and 70. Now, it's not overextended, but it's moving up there. Our RSI itself, money flow index is extremely high. Keep in mind, low volume weekends, that will throw it off a little. It'll make you think that you have more money flowing in than you do, because it's all relative to the last 14 candles. In the 4-hour time frame, roughly 2.5 days worth of trading, we're going to see that get thrown off a little on weekends. But the truth is, it's still averaging itself out to be higher. So by no means is it like a phenomenal amount of volume. It's just more than it was from the previous 14 days, right? So those higher volume candles from last week have fallen off, and the MFI is going up. Anyways, it's generally positive, but I wouldn't think that that is like phenomenal, because it's really not as much volume as you may think due to the fact that we have this nice little dip over the weekend. So all that being said, these are still all very positive signs here. And if we take a look at our moving averages, we've maintained above the 200 SMA, that $60,000 level, held like a champ. We can also see this ascending trend line here with the 20 SMA. We are doing very, very good here. This is excellent stuff. So again, you see this ascending trend, we can respect the fact that we're over the 20 SMA, and this trend is more likely to continue higher than it would to go lower. Okay, so just keep in mind, taking a short right now doesn't make a ton of sense. Now, I haven't looked at altcoins much yet here today so far, and Bitcoin dominance being fairly high and maintaining its 58% range does lead me to believe that some alts might sell off if Bitcoin pulls back a little bit. But once more, we got to kind of look at the correlation between those two and kind of see where we're at first. But at this exact moment, we're looking pretty strong here in the overall sense. I forgot to look at CME futures, see if there's any gaps. I don't really see anything here. Looks like we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, there's a tiny gap that got filled there at about 62,800, but that's all said and done. So nothing really too crazy. I would say that there might be some fair value here to get filled. A retest of 63,000 may possibly end up happening. But at this point, again, this ascending trend line looks pretty good. So until we break below it, I would not. I wouldn't try to short this coin until maybe just say we close below 63,000 today. What I'll do is I'll post a playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, as per usual. If you're not familiar, it looks something like this here. And what I'll do is I'll kind of give you an expectation of what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin. In other words, I'll clean up the charts here. I'll redraw out our fib levels here for retracement and kind of see what that may look like. So feel free to check that out if you want. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link down below. I have a lot of new opportunities there. Fantastic trades for the most part. Obviously, one canceled the other, but we're still profitable over the weekend. And if you want to join us, there's trade alerts available too, where I kind of give you a heads up on trades I'm planning to take. These have been pretty good lately. So thanks again, folks. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Appreciate your time. Take care.